Hi everyone and welcome to my Q&A live clinic session with me, Sarah Davison, the divorce coach, which is happening every day at 2 p.m. during the week, so Monday to Friday. And this is where I answer your questions live. So anything to do with your breakup, anything to do with your separation, heartbreak, then you can come on, drop your questions below, and I will answer them for you live on here. So I do have a pile of questions that I've been sent in. But today, you know what, it's been a bit of a rush for me. I don't know if any of you have been to the supermarket recently, but I went out this morning at 11:30 to go to the supermarket, and I literally got back about 10 minutes ago, which is mental. And I think a lot of people it's interesting how everyone is coping, and I just observed them having to queue for over 40 minutes to get into my local Waitrose, which is the nearest supermarket to me by far. We were all queuing around the block, and a long way around the block. I mean, 40 minutes is a long time to queue to go to the supermarket. Unheard of previously to this situation. I mean, you would have thought you'd have to queue to get into one of those big supermarkets. And standing in the queue, some people have masks on, some people have gloves on, some people are in summer dresses and not much else. Some people chatty on the phone, some people literally so covered you couldn't really see any part of them, with hoods and anoraks and all sorts of things. And I just made me realise how everybody copes so differently, don't they? I mean, what do you feel comfortable with at the moment? Because we're adjusting to so much change right now. And that's really my point, is that there's so much change. We're doing things for the first time differently. Like, you cannot go to the supermarket with somebody else right now. So you have to go on your own. Yeah, well, where I am anyway, you only one person per household can go in. And obviously we're not allowed to talk to people or go out, socialise, or be next to anybody who we don't live with. So that means everyone is queuing to get into Waitrose on their own. So there's no big groups, which actually is a really good safety precaution. Because it means that it's just one person per trolley and it's easier to navigate round the supermarket. But what I found today was that everybody, even though they're going in one at a time, is coping so differently. And I just thought, you know, when you go through a breakup, whether it's a divorce, whether it's, you know, a breakup from a relationship with someone that you really cared about, or someone that at least you're used to doing things with, you're suddenly then forced into a world of doing things on your own, so in isolation, if you like. So breakup creates your own world of doing things on your own and learning to adapt to doing things differently. And I think that's what's really interesting at the moment, is that everybody is being forced into that. Not just everyone in the UK where I am, it's everyone around the world. I know some of you joining me live right now are from different places around the world. Yeah, what's it like for you? How are you experiencing this? And do you have any questions that I could help you with? Because managing your anxiety and fear right now is absolutely key. You know, we have to honestly look at what we're doing. You know, yesterday? No, it was a couple of days ago actually. I was out with my son, and I was running and he was on his bike. And that's how we normally go. And then if anyone comes along, we take priority, and we take the initiative, and we always move before we're even close to them, so that they can relax and know that we're not going to go anywhere near them. But a couple of days ago, we ditched the bikes and me running. We just had like a nice walk, and we were walking along chatting. And there's a pathway which is about 2 meters wide. No, about 3 meters wide. So you can easily walk along this path and keep your distance quite easily from everybody. And there was a young boy coming down. He must have been 18, 19. It was when it was really hot, so he had no top on, sort of wrapped around his waist. And he did have his head in his phone, which was interesting. So I sort of saw him coming, and so me and my son sort of moved over right to one side of the path. And then there's pretty long grass, you know, and when I'm running, absolutely, I'm a jogger, and so people don't want to be near that. So I go right, you know, 6-7 meters away from people, more if I can. But on this occasion, we were walking, and this kid was walking, so we could have just kind of kept to our sides of the path. Oh no. As we got closer, I was saying to my son, let's keep over this side, and the kid was coming towards us. And as he got closer, he was kind of diagonally cutting across the path to get closer and closer to us. So we were having to move, and there's nothing wrong with going on the grass, but there's quite a lot of dog poo around, so it's kind of better to stay on the path if you can, if it's safe, and it would have been. So I said, oh, excuse me. I said, because he had his head in his phone, would you? And I think that's something that is important to address. And I know in the emails that I've got last night and yesterday afternoon after my session yesterday with you, that a lot of people are finding that sort of behaviour is becoming quite unreasonable. And unreasonable behaviour, happens when you're under stress. If you're going through a breakup anyway, you're going to feel stressed, okay? And you know what it's like, and that's why I'm a big fan of the no-fault divorce, because the no-fault divorce basically means that you can get divorced without allocating blame to somebody. So you can, you don't have to state, in the moment, you have to state what someone has done wrong in the partnership to get divorced. So that automatically allocates blame to one party, which sometimes is fair, but sometimes isn't. And even if it is fair, it can throw fuel on the flames and really get tensions up and running, or even more increased if you've got a high conflict divorce anyway. It's pretty hideous. So we have been campaigning for a long time. There's a lot of amazing people campaigning behind the scenes, and I support them as much as I can because it's really important. I was invited in to speak to the Minister of Justice last year to talk about this and just to see why it was so important. Because I often see in my clinic that no-fault divorce would completely help so many of my clients, because a lot of the stress and pressure starts when you allocate blame. It's hard enough when you're announcing you're going to leave, especially if one of you is a little bit ahead of the others, of the other partner. And we talked about this before, where when you get to a breakup, a lot of the emails I've got here are, how could they leave me? I didn't see it coming. And they seem so fine with it, like happy, and they're moving on and they're dating and they're doing all these things, or maybe they've met someone else. The challenge you've got with that is that often the person that does the dumping has gone through the, should I stay, should I go, can I make this work, what can I tolerate, what am I prepared to compromise stage for quite a long time. So this isn't new to them when they get to that breakup point, but it's new to you. So that can send you kind of reeling and make you upset. So that's the really important thing here, is to look at, what stage are you at, and how are you going to prepare yourself to get through this? Because a lot of the time we're not at that stage. So when then you get to that point and one person has left that relationship, and let's say it's not you, because if you're on here, most people are in that situation, then you're dealing with then the blame being allocated maybe to you, which will make you obviously even more upset and it'll be even more stressful. Or maybe then you're allocating blame because you're still working through your emotions, and this seems like a good way of saying, well, you've left me with someone else, you've had an affair, therefore, so as you can see, it's not a smooth departure from the marriage. It literally starts off with fireworks, where you have to start allocating blame. So when that's gone, that will make a big difference, I think. I think that will help a lot of people just dial it down a bit. Obviously, there's a lot of toxic relationships out there where this isn't going to be the case, and it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. And I've had some really challenging, upsetting emails from people going through really tough times right now. You will have seen, and I don't know if you saw Lorraine this morning, but Rachel Williams, who's a big campaigner for domestic abuse in this country, she's amazing. She was shot by her ex-husband, and her son committed suicide because of it. And it's just a horrific story, but she's gone on as an empowering, inspiring woman. She's on Twitter as Don't Look Back. She's amazing, and she campaigns very strongly for domestic abuse. And you will have seen that domestic abuse inquiries have gone up by 120%, and that's just the inquiries. Some of you will know I'm the patron of the DASH charity, which is Domestic Abuse Stops Here charity. That's what DASH stands for, Domestic Abuse Stops Here. And we provide refuges for women and children to escape from violent homes. Obviously, right now, £2 million from Priti Patel. I mean, it's a start, but geez, it is so way off the mark of what is actually needed. I mean, the team at DASH, I know them well, and they are all working from home under extremely difficult circumstances, trying to liaise with the community, and the workload has gone through the roof. And these guys are a charity, they don't get paid much. So, £2 million is, I wouldn't say it's an insult, because it's at least we're on the front page now, domestic abuse, which is great. And I know there's a lot of you that are on here that are suffering from domestic abuse too, because I recognise some of the names on here, and I know that some of you are finding things tough too. But there are lots of support lines available at the moment, so you can reach out and do get help with those. I'm also going to do a webinar soon, so watch out on my Facebook and my Instagram, because it's going to be about giving you the signs for domestic abuse. What I really want is for all the family lawyers, barristers, legal professionals to watch the webinar, to sign into the webinar, because oh my goodness, these are the people that need to recognize it. Judges, barristers, lawyers, you know, family lawyers, you know, they don't know the signs of domestic abuse, even though, you know, it's out there, and they, if you haven't been through it, I think it's hard to recognize the signs or really understand it, especially on emotional abuse, but they really need to. So yeah, it's something that's really important to me and to a lot of people out there. So how do you cope when your ex leaves you? Now, this lady is talking about, she has gone through a breakup, and her ex is now in isolation with his new girlfriend, and she's finding that really, really hard, because obviously she's saying, well, he shouldn't be with her because they live together, but they actually are doing isolation together, which is really upsetting her. Is her and her kids are doing isolation, and she's finding it hard. Her kids are older, but they are living in the home. They've come back from university. So how do you cope with that? You know, how do you cope with going through this, your breakup, processing that, knowing that your ex is living with somebody else? Now, obviously, that's going to be super hard. You know, there is no magic wand to take away all that pain. However, you've got to focus your attention on what it was that wasn't right. Because believe you me, she's still getting the sloppy seconds that you didn't, you know, those bad bits that were in your relationship, she's getting those now too. So it's not just a case of, you know, she's getting this amazing person, because this amazing person is the person that left you and has gone off. So there's obviously things there that she is inheriting, which aren't going to be perfect. And I think human nature is to romanticize a sort of fairy tale, pink fluffy clouds around everything that's going on with them. And you know, some of us get distracted by that, but actually the reality is that, you know, they are still the same person. A leopard doesn't change their spots. So I know that he's been very unkind to you, and he's been very difficult. So believe you me, even in the honeymoon period, those signs are going to be there. Just we ignored them, and she's going to get them, right? So please don't romanticize about it, because that will make things worse for you. Also, you can't, I know it's easy to say, but you can't worry about things you can't control. And one of the things that none of us can control is other people's behavior. Okay, we can't control what they're going to do. We can't control what they're going to say. We can't control how they're going to react to things. Now, if he's going ahead and doing this, you can't control that. But what can you control? And this is the important thing we need to look at. What can you control? The important thing you can control is how you react to that. Now, I know that sounds like, well, of course I'm going to be angry, but that is your choice, right? And I know that's a tough one. I mean, we all decide how we react to situations. And guys, if you have any questions, I know there's a few of you put them in, but please do put your questions in the live chat, so I can then answer those for you as we go. Yeah, I mean, we all do react, do choose how we react. Now, what I would say is, obviously, it's going to hurt a bit because this is something that's painful to you. However, we've got to shift your focus onto other things. And when your brain goes to think about that, we have to shift it onto something else, or we have to dial down the intensity by remembering the things that weren't great about it. So as you see how by taking control of what's going on in here, you can change how you feel about something. Now, obviously, there's no sticking plaster that will just cover it up and take it all away. But there are things you can do. Instead of channeling your energy into why is he doing that, why, you know, I'm feeling that pain, and asking, well, why is she better than me? I know that's the question you're asking. It's a very common question when your partner runs off with someone, is to do the comparison and to think about, well, okay, well, she's more beautiful, or he's rich, or he's more funny, or he's, you know, got a nicer car, or she's got a nice car, you know, whatever. We start to do this kind of comparison thing where we start to compare each other. Ultimately, that is just going to take you round and round in circles and be very painful a lot of the time. You know, I mean, I know my husband went off and started a relationship very, very quickly after we broke up, started a family with a woman who's absolutely beautiful, you know, and there's no two ways about it. You couldn't say she wasn't. Nobody could. So that was hard, you know, and then you could keep comparing yourself to people, and it's tough. So I know from personal experience, having been there, but that doesn't serve you. The way to get out of that is to start thinking about other things. So what can you do? So, for example, this lady also says this lady's a great chef that he's gone off with, and he was used to complain about her cooking. Well, it's not about him anymore, it's about you. But if that is an area which makes you feel weak, because she's saying she doesn't think anyone will love her, if they do, maybe they'll have the same complaints about her in a relationship. Number one, hopefully when you're looking for a new partner, you're going to find somebody who who loves you for who you are, and you are good enough for how you are. Okay, just because someone else says that's a problem doesn't even mean it's true. You know, this guy's got a history of lying. He's going to come up with anything. So I wouldn't necessarily take it as true. But as an example, if that was something that worried you, then maybe you could do something about it. Maybe you could learn to cook better. Maybe you could do certain things that would improve your cookery skills. You know, whether that's just following a Jamie Oliver app, or doing some YouTube videos on cooking, or just learning, mastering one particular dish, so that if you do have someone over for dinner, or you do a dinner party, you can rock out something that you know everyone's going to love, then perfect. Do you see how I mean? It's about refocusing your energy, not on the things like, for example, well, she's a great cook and I'm not. That's the comparison side of it. Taking control of that is like, well, why don't I improve my cooking skills? Not for him, but for you, so you can dial down that comparison and get better if that's something you want to do. But don't do it for him, do it for you. If this is an area of your life that you believe you could improve in, or you would like to improve in, and this would make you feel more confident about dating again, then absolutely, that's a great thing to do. So I think these things are really important, because we can get locked into this constant cycle where, you know, it keeps us stuck. You know, we've all done it, and especially now during times like this, where, and when we started off this chat today, I was talking about how people's behaviour is crazy. You know, it's not normal behaviour that we're experiencing, because people are stressed, and human beings under stress are not their best selves, are they? We're not. I mean, come on, let's be honest. How many of you are your best self when you're under immense pressure? I mean, you might be able to suck it up, you might be able to carry on, which is great, and so many people are doing that right now. But remember, your breakup will always be your Achilles heel. That will always be the part where your brain will get stuck. You'll get trapped into your old ways of thinking. So it's up to you to take control of this. It's almost like you have the remote control to your brain. You've got to choose to use it. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying, you know, you're going to say, I'm going to sit and think about how, you know, compare myself to this ex, to my ex's new partner, or I'm going to go and do a cookery YouTube program. Sorry, you know, come on. But it's when it's the hardest that you build that muscle and you move forward. And so all these questions that I'm getting about how long does it take to start to feel better? How long does it take, Sarah? You know, what do I have to do? Well, this is it. It doesn't happen overnight. This is something you have to decide, and you have to take action. And it's a balance, okay? You can spend those days under the duvet, or those hours maybe under the duvet with a packet of crisps, feeling sorry for yourself. But then at the end of that, get up, go do something that's going to take you forward. Clear out that wardrobe space where he had his clothes or she had her long dresses, and swap this around. So here we've got a question. I'm struggling to accept this is happening to me. I'm screaming, no, no, no inside. I can't accept it. Yeah, I mean, you know, the different stages we go through. I know you're really in the early stages of this, and that is part of that. And that you'll power through that with the books I know you're reading and the things that you're doing and tuning into this. You'll get through it a lot quicker than you would have done otherwise. But there is that natural sort of denial stage where you kind of go round and round in circles a little bit, and you feel like, I can't believe this is happening to me. I don't understand. I don't want it. And then you go into anger, which is like the screaming, more anger, more energy, more animated, like, how dare you? And that's healthy. You know, you need to get to that point where you are angry about it. And for some of you, I know that you don't feel anger, like you don't go to rage. Maybe you're quite empathetic when you kind of, you find that hard, but actually it's healthy to let that out in some way. So actually saying no, 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 screaming is actually a really positive thing. I know you say you're doing it inside, but actually feeling the anger is good. So how do you let that out? Because you say you're screaming inside. Now that is a red flag to me, and I know you've got kids at home with you, but maybe you need to order a punch bag online, because you can get those still. But you need to do something. Maybe it's just pummeling your pillow when the kids on, you know, when they put the music up loud or whatever when they've gone to bed. But you need to let that out. because this is part of the healing process. You're going through denial and you're moving into the anger. When you get to the anger stage, it's important to let that out. Now, it's not always easy, especially in isolation with younger children. But if you can go for a run, if you can get outside and put the kids on their bikes and you're running, so or you know, just so you have your own time, it's really important, because keeping that locked inside is going to hold you back from powering forward. And what I want you to do is express that anger and let it out. So it might be that you do some sort of exercise to let that out. It might be that you just pound your pillow. It might be, I don't know, that you go for a run, or you chat to a friend who you can rant and rage at, although you've got to make sure that that friend isn't going to make you feel worse. But you do need to let that anger out. And I tell you, it is, I know it's going to sound crazy, but it is good news that you are feeling angry a little bit there and you are screaming inside, because it shows that you're moving forward, even though I know it doesn't feel it. And I know you're not ready to accept it yet. And you are a way off accepting that, because that's the last stage. You've got the rest of the loss cycle to get through before, which is bargaining. What can I do to change things? What did I do wrong? All those things. Sadness, and then you come up to acceptance, and you'll be sliding around on that curve, which is why it's important to get the right information to help you power through, which is why my book, The Split, is available for £1 on Kindle at the moment on Amazon, just so that you can get that information during these really tough times. So I hope that's helped, because you know, I know how difficult it is, and going through a breakup at any time is really hard, guys. That is true. It is just a fact of life that breakups are the second most emotional, traumatic experience we go through in life after death of a loved one. So you know, this is a well documented, recognized traumatic event, and then compound that with being in isolation, not being able to get out, to have that contact with the people that you normally would, is really super tough, which is why I'm doing these sessions for free, because I know there's so many people out there that are really struggling to cope with breakups, with everything else on top, as well as financial pressures, tensions rising with random strangers when you're going for a walk, and all sorts of other things that get thrown in on top. And for those of you going through court cases at the moment, you know, if they're still going ahead, that again is just a headache. And if you're left at home on your own with your own thoughts, that's where things can get really challenging. You know, being at home with your own thoughts, just with nothing else to distract you, isn't easy. And that's where our thoughts can get out of control. And that's why it's good to be able to have these emotional releases somewhere along the line. And if you can, I would suggest that you book things in during your day which enable you to do that at little times, you know, scattered throughout the day, so you don't just store it all up and then do it. So maybe go for a walk, or you run, and then maybe pound your pillow, maybe do 5-star jumps, maybe scream down the phone to a friend and the kids have got their music on, you know, whatever it is for you. But find a way throughout the day so that it's not bottling up, because that's where it gets to tipping point and everything seems like you can't go on. But you can, and you will get through this. And if you think about it, you know, in a year's time, where will you be? You know, it's important that you get all this out, because you don't want to drag this forward. You know, what would life be like in a year's time if you are still holding on to all this? You know, and I know you particularly don't want to. Still Dawn Hill. I'm not sure what your first name is. You need to tell me, but I can't call you your first name. But still Dawn Hill. Is it Dawn? Could be. So you know, it's part of the process. But in a year's time, where will you be if you hold on to all this? You know, life is going to be the same, just you're going to be a year older, and it's just going to be, you know, more ingrained. So what you're doing right now is really powerful, because you're learning how to shift all that now in the early days. And I can't tell you enough. When I do my live breakup recovery retreats, which I will be doing, and maybe Dawn, you want to, that's Dawn, yeah, maybe you do want to come on one of those. It was scheduled for June, but it will be happening this year, hopefully, if we can all get together. So I'm thinking September, October, maybe the next one. But those retreats help you power through in 2 days and give you a support group and show you that you're not alone. But at the moment, obviously, we can't do those. So that's why I'm doing these calls now, just to help people get through Yeah, I mean, they are really powerful, really powerful. It's my favorite thing I do because I get to work really closely with you guys, really up close and personal. I'm just powering you through, and I go through all my techniques, and I'm there on hand. So when you're finding things difficult, you've got specific questions, and I can dive in and answer those. Yeah, they are amazing. Well, it will be on my website, and I will announce it on Instagram when I can. Yeah, it's a shame it's cancelled. It was June, but I will do them because it's my favorite thing to do. And you do also have support from, sometimes my coaches will come along and be in the room too, which is also really good. So you've got that support there. So yeah, that's kind of what I would suggest for now. And just think, you need to get through this now so that you're not dragging your baggage forward. Because if it's 5 years, I have clients that come on my retreats or come and see me in my coaching clinic or video coaching at the moment, which is what most people are doing. And they say, Sarah, gosh, if I'd have done this 2 years ago or 5 years ago, I would have got on in my life. And that's the thing, see. In fact, you're reaching out for help now, and you're getting those techniques, and you're immersing yourself in the books and the help, and tuning in at 2 o'clock just to get some more tips and advice. That's really important because it will speed you through that, and you won't be looking back. I've got one client at the moment, 15 years she's been stuck. And she didn't realize there was any specific help, any tools to power her through. She just thought that she was dealt those cards and that was the way it was going to be. But it isn't. There is life after that, one person being your partner. There is a massive, huge, bright future, which is exciting, which without them, you are freer. You can do more things. There's more opportunities. You can have sex with other people. I mean, there's so many exciting things that will come your way. Those sort of the romantic movies where people fall in love, and you're going to get all those experiences again, which are incredible. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We just have to get you through this sort of healing, grieving part, so you can open up the doors for those kind of experiences to come your way. And Honeymoon One, I'd love you to come to my next retreat. So yeah, I will keep you posted, but I'm feeling it's going to be a way off yet, probably after the summer. But there is hope. So do tune in on weekdays and do post me your questions. And if there's anything I can do to help you, or you feel you need extra support, then do email me, sarah@sarahdavidson.com, because I am always happy to help. And, we've all got to do our bit during these times and stick together. But you are not alone. There are lots of us who are going through this. And okay, 15 months ago, but you see, the thing is, if you haven't got the help, so Honeymoon One says, my husband left 15 months ago, so I feel like I should be doing better. Yeah, but the thing is, if you haven't had access to the tools, there's no time like the present. Now you're asking, now you're here. Get my book, The Split, which is available for £1 on Kindle, or you get the hard copy, or Uncoupling, which has got a bit about my story in it too, which is interesting for those who like a bit of sort of personal touch to a book. So they're both good books, both bestsellers. So do immerse yourself in those, because that will massively help. But there's no time like the present. If you weren't doing it now, you would just discover me in a year's time. You'll be even further down the line. So there are things you can do, and actually being a little bit further down the line, Honeymoon One, means that you are more ready to shift, because you've done the shock, the overwhelm, you've done some adjusting of your own, you've got your own survival techniques which have kicked in, and your own strategies for getting yourself through this. They might not all be as empowering as you needed. Some of them might not be as healthy as you wanted, but you've got through 15 months. And Dawn's still in the very early stages, the first few months, weeks, even and months. So there's actually being a little bit further down the line as you're ready to absorb and power through. You can just start implementing the techniques, and then you will get instant changes from this. This is not like do it and in a couple of years you might notice. Instant changes. If you step up and take action and implement these things, they will give you instant changes and make you feel better instantly. So do check that out. Do ask me questions. Jump on tomorrow at 2 o'clock and drop your questions below, and I'll answer them for you and hopefully help you power through so that you don't need to feel like this a minute longer. All right, lots of love. Stay safe today, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.